April this year, Pehlu Khan was badly beaten by a mob in Rajasthan who accused him of being a cattle smuggler. Pehlu died later in hospital, but before he did, he named the men who lynched him. It was his dying declaration. More than 6 months later, the case lies in tatters. The key accused are free. Others who were arrested are out on bail, all because of the police's shoddy probe and slapping of charges that simply don't cut it. It's not just Pehlu Khan's case in Rajasthan. There are other cases too, which are out and out communal, where Muslims in particular have been the target, but where the police have either forced a compromise or have simply refused to register it as a communal incident. Because if it was a communal incident, it would invite far more stringent provisions as far as the law is concerned. We're going to get Harsha Kumari Singh, our correspondent in Jaipur, up on that story in just a little bit. But let me go straight across to our panelists tonight. Anshul Verma, Lok Sabha MP of the BJP, Jaiveer Shergill of the Congress, here in the studio with us, and senior journalist Javed Ansari also joining us on the program tonight. Javed, let me ask you first. Do you see a pattern here that's emerging? Because there are various cases that we've looked at least 4 or 5 in the recent past. You have Pehlu Khan's case. You have the case of the hotel which was booked, after there were rumors that there were beef there. There some kind of compromise was reached. You had a village where a Muslim singer was killed. Muslim families forced out, but only a murder case was registered. There was another case where a Hindu-Muslim couple had checked into a hotel. No case was registered there, even though the young man was beaten. Do you see a pattern here that is emerging, especially in Rajasthan?
Unmistakably. More so in Rajasthan, but not just in Rajasthan. I see this in my home state of Uttar Pradesh as well. And this is a really sad state of affairs and a very poor commentary on the way things are being carried out. It not just vitiates the atmosphere, it also underlines the kind of speculation and fear that people of a certain section have, that a particular party and a particular government have a biased view against them, and that they will not get justice under this dispensation.
I just want to read out to our viewers why it's very important to have these cases registered as communal incidents. That's simply because the punishment would be more stringent. It would also be non-bailable. And for instance, in the Pehlu Khan case, we've seen that all the accused are actually free. Those who were arrested are out on bail simply because the police didn't put up a convincing enough fight in court, and those who were named by him were never arrested in the first place. Jaiveer, just to get you in on that, obviously the Congress is going to seize on this, but this is actually a spectacular failure of the state.
No, I think Nidhi, cases like Pehlu Khan are a living proof that the government patronizes and supports criminals who are euphemistically called Gaurakshaks these days. Now, Pehlu Khan case, the day one approach is to ensure protection to the accused rather than give justice to the victim. And there are many indicators. Number one, the Home Minister of Rajasthan gets on. First is to say this killing is justified. He gives a clean chit day one. Second, the lighter sections are imposed in the FIR. Third, despite Pehlu Khan recognizing them, naming them in their dying declaration, they are not named accused in the FIR. So, this is a design. Rajasthan police and other police are giving out a clear signal to the people that in the BJP regime you have an open license to kill in the name of the cow. Now today the police is behaving like a judge, jury and executor. It is high time that cow lynching cases are recognized as a separate offence. Whenever these deaths happen, along with serious sections of murder, sections like you said 153A should be imposed for enmity due to religious groups. Why the government doesn't want to do it? Because the government believes in window dressing. If they address it as communal violence, then it will tank up their records in cases of communal violence. So there's a deliberate attempt to put a lid on these cases, let the accused go scot-free, because they want to patronize, support them, and also keep their window dressing on for lighter criminal offences.
I just want to get my colleague Harsha, who's reported on this story extensively today. Harsha, just give us more details of this pattern that you've picked up while looking at the cases in Rajasthan, and if you could give us some detail on that.
Well, yes, actually, Nidhi, when we started researching the story, what we found was actually quite ironically enough, the number of communal cases in Rajasthan has come down from 2014. So actually, there were 73 cases in 2014 and now it's down to about 63. Then I met the Home Minister today and I asked him this very thing. I said, for example, the Pehlu Khan case. First, they registered a case of attempt to murder and then they changed it to murder after he died. But they did not register any case, even when the police was investigating it, though the fact was very clear that he was attacked because he was somebody traveling with milch cows, and he was a Muslim, very visibly so. So he was attacked by Gaur Rakshaks. Then after that, following that, there's so much polarization in Behror that when an NGO called Karwa-e-Mohabbat decides to go through Behror and offer Shraddhanjali to Pehlu Khan, they are actually opposed by local people. So it has led to polarization, it has led to enmity between two groups, and yet the police investigation in fact did not add any sections on communal violence in the Pehlu Khan case. In fact, what it did was quite a catch-22 situation. The 6 people Pehlu named in its FIR, those people were given a clean chit by the CID-CB. You all know about that. We carried that story about how they were let off because there was no evidence to link them. And then the other people accused by, on basis of video evidence, were given bail by the court because they said they were present at the scene of crime but did not actively participate in his beating. So that's one case. Then there was another case where you have a lady called Kamal Didi. She goes on the 19th of March to a hotel called Hotel Rabbani in the heart of Jaipur. She collects a crowd there and she says that they are serving beef. After that, there's an FSL test. No beef has been found. In fact, that is again a case where you're promoting, in one sense, sort of distrust between communities, and you're again attacking Rabbani on beef rumors. You're saying that Pakistan Zindabad is shouted at his hotel, and then what does the police do? They actually get the case closed. They call this lady and they call Rabbani and they get the case closed. The case is shut now. So that will also not add to Rajasthan's tally on communal violence. Then, of course, the third case, where in Jaisalmer last month, a Manganyar singer has been killed by a village Bhopa, by a priest. It's a case of murder, but corollary to that is that at least 25 families have been forced to migrate from that village. And again, this is not something which is, according to the police, disturbing the communal fabric at all of the state. So then, one really wonders what is, and are these cases being deliberately left out? Because remember, as soon as they add section 153 and 295, not only does it become non-bailable, it also becomes non-compoundable. I spoke to some lawyers and they said if a communal violence section is added, then you cannot enforce some kind of a compromise. So the case very much stands. So these are interesting factors, and it's also a very worrying trend for someone like me who's reported out of Rajasthan for more than 15 years now. Nidhi.
Well, Harsha, thanks a lot for that, and you can see Harsha's detailed report later on at 9 o'clock this evening. Anshul Verma of the BJP, how does the BJP respond to this? Matlab, how is it possible that in these cases, a case of communal violence is not being registered? Why are the Pehlu Khan's killers still roaming free, for instance, in Rajasthan? Anshulji.
सबसे पहले तो मैं मृतक के प्रति अपनी और अपनी पार्टी की तरफ से श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूं. एंड टू स्टार्ट विद मैम, ऑन सच अ सेंसिटिव इशू वी शुड नॉट पॉलिटिसाइज इट बिकॉज वी आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल पीपल ऑफ द सोसाइटी. वी हैव ऑल सिंपैथीज फॉर द डिसीज्ड, बट पहलू खान्स केस, यू कैन सी फ्रॉम द फैक्ट्स. He was murdered at Alwar. But madam, see, I think my Congress fellow has some question. Kindly give me some time. I'll just respond to that also. First of all, I'll say, on issues like this, when we come for a debate, first thing is to create Hindu versus Muslim. Why is it that?
Because a Muslim
when there is a law,
because he's a Muslim, that's a fact.
Cow slaughtering is banned. I'll put up the facts, ma'am. I'll put up the facts. Cow slaughtering is banned.
So you kill.
And if somebody is going, and it is our party leader, Prime Minister himself from the many forums has said this thing. If Gaurakshaks are uncontrollable, then they should be ready for the punishment. And party is taking serious note of it. But if you claim and blame this thing, that these were Gaurakshaks, and you given some facts that some of the people were, released on bail. Kindly go through the facts of the case. There was a man called Vipin.
Anshul ji, I think you need to go through the facts of the case, not me. Aapko samajh, Anshul ji, I'm sorry, with due respect, I think you need to go through the facts of the case, not us. The fact is that the police in Rajasthan has been reluctant to act on Pehlu Khan's case. They have made a mess of it. They have deliberately made a mess of it, and they are making a mess of other cases as well because they don't want to register a case of communal violence. And I'll get Prashant Bhushan in on that because he held a press conference today specifically on the Pehlu Khan case,
Madam,
which is actually
mob has no face. Mob has no face.
Mob does have a face, and it happens to be Bajrang Dal and other Sangh affiliates, which is what Pehlu Khan has said in his dying declaration, which is why they are being protected. And Prashant Bhushan, you all have actually detailed how from registering the FIR to the way the case was presented in court, there has been a complete mismanagement of this case and a deliberate one. Prashant Bhushan.
Yes, absolutely. You see, in the first place, they didn't register an FIR immediately. They registered an FIR after 9 hours. And they say that they first came to know of the incident in the morning, in the next morning, though Pehlu Khan had told them and disclosed the names of the attackers also on the prior evening, prior night, soon after he was beaten up and when he was in the hospital. Secondly, they didn't arrest the persons that Pehlu Khan had named in his dying declaration. They said that these people are absconding. These are all known prominent faces there. How could they say that they were absconding and absconding for 5 months? And they surface only after the police gives them a clean chit? I mean, and gives them a clean chit on the basis of the statement of one of the accused who was running a Gaushala and whose people said that in that Gaushala said that all these 6 people were in that Gaushala. And thereafter the police charge sheet some few other people on the basis of their being in that video, and those people are also allowed to walk out free by not seriously opposing their bail. And thereafter the police in their final report uses some absurd statements made by some doctors in this Kailash hospital, which is owned by this Mr. Sharma, who is the Minister for State for Environment, etc., and who had earlier praised Aklaks killers, etc. This gentleman's doctors make such absurd statements that Pehlu Khan came to the hospital hale and hearty. Thereafter he suffered a heart attack and his death had nothing to do with the beating that he had been administered by this communal mob.
Absolutely, and
so, I mean,
there is clearly a pattern that is emerging here. And Anshul Verma, the question to you is, why is the police covering this up? Why isn't the Rajasthan police able to do a fair probe? Why is it reluctant to register cases of communal violence when there are cases of communal violence?
Well, first of all, I know Mr. Prashant Bhushan ji is a senior advocate. He should understand one thing. I am not there to tell him. Mob has no face. We understand this thing. And when such kind of incidents happen, it takes us some time. But 9 hours is too much time. I accept that. I'm not supporting at all this incident. But as a reasonable man, we should, look into the problems of police also. Immediately, you cannot file an FIR.
There were 6 people named in Pehlu Khan's dying declaration. Not one of them was investigated.
You have to remember one thing.
Why was he not investigated?
Pehlu belonged to Haryana.
That doesn't matter. He can belong to Mars. He didn't deserve to die the way he did.
Madam, he named the persons.
Yes. He named.
Can you name somebody living in Maharashtra?
No, he named the persons. Why was that dying declaration not even taken cognizance of?
That's precisely You see, precisely because he was a resident of Haryana, but he has
think
named
Prashant ji
people
can
whom he
answer this
doesn't know,
question in a better way.
Yes, yes, I am answering it. Because
when
Pehlu
such kind of
Khan
incidents
named
happen,
people
sir,
that
you
he
understand
did not
one thing,
know
nobody takes name.
in his dying
And
declaration.
by the time police reached there, the accused would have fled away.
I really don't understand,
Therefore,
Anshul,
that makes
Mr.
his
Anshul
dying
Verma, what is your
declaration
defense
credible.
of the Rajasthan government's handling of these cases? This is not the only one. Iska defense kya hai? What is the defense?
Madam, government and police can put the facts before the court. This is what they can do. Rest is up to the judiciary. How can I intervene into the domain of judiciary?
Can I just...
We have to respect the judiciary.
I will...
Whatever they have given the verdict.
I just have 2-3 specific questions. You talk about reasonability. Even before the investigation has begun, how come Home Minister of State, who's the head of the police, tries to build a culture of impunity for criminals to say it is justified? A 14-year-old girl is hanged in Jharkhand because she's suspected of transporting a cow, and the chief minister comes on to record say, so what, cow is our mother. A cultural cabinet minister drapes a murder accused in a tiranga, which itself is a crime. Then you say, how are we not talking about reasonability? Number 4, let me educate you. A dying declaration, Mr. Bhushan can say, is one of the most crucial pieces of evidence. Number 5, Rajasthan police is merely towing the line of the government who want to protect these accused. When your approach is to protect the accused and not to put a fair story out in the public, let me ask you, why was the FIR registered against Khan family? There is a video, they are beating him. You were so active in registering a FIR against the victim itself under the prohibition of and regulation of transport laws, rather than chasing those who were named in the FIR and in his dying declaration. So this shows you are trying to build a culture of impunity for criminals because they satisfy your vote bank.
Well, I just want to go across to Zafar Sareshwala, the Chancellor of the Maulana Azad National Urdu University, who has been a very strong supporter of Mr. Modi's for many, many years. Mr. Sareshwala, how do you feel, as these facts are coming to light about how these cases are being diluted in Rajasthan, where there's clearly a communal angle and where the police are not keen to act?
See, I have been saying this since long. There cannot be peace without justice. And I am not even getting into FIR was delayed by 9 hours, 10 hours, whatever. There is a cold-blooded murder. So I want to know, this Pehlu Khan, was he killed by an asteroid or something fell from sky? I mean, this kind of attitude of a government and the police, it will create a society of murderers, and you are building monsters. This will create anarchy in the society. If the criminals, they just move away. Today is a Pehlu Khan, but tomorrow it will be a Ram Govind, and tomorrow, day after tomorrow it will be Mahesh, and then it will be Sita and Geeta. This will continue. So you are manufacturing anarchy in the country, and this is a very serious issue. Forget he is a Pehlu Khan. He is a human being. And if he is being killed, it is the duty of the government and the police. They are creating a dangerous monster which you will not be able to control tomorrow.